So are you Jessica? Jam Jessica then, is it?
I'm Jessica, yes.
Yes, right, there you go. Hi, I'm Chris. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And then there's Chris as well. So we have
Oh,
Chris
okay.
Also
and
Kryz.
Chris.
Yeah.
That'll be confusing. See, and then Zoom just jumps around on the camera angle. So, yeah, I don't know what I'm watching. Just
I mean, technically in Zoom, you can change it to whatever view you want. If you wanted everyone up on screen, you can change it. We just have it in speaker mode.
No, I see. Okay. So does that mean every time I speak, you'll see my face?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll just nod and go like that. You're laughing. So, how's it going?
It's going. I
That-
see that you recently had a birthday in October in the beginning of the month.
That's right. 20 days ago. Yeah. Just
I just had a birthday in October as well.
oh, there you go. Well,
So
cheers. I should crack a beer. We can cheers. There you go.
October birthdays are great birthdays. It's a great month.
Uh, yeah. I mean, I like the weather in October more than in the summer or whatever like that. But I live in Los Angeles, so the weather is kind of always a bit, you know, too shitty. It's always hot, sunny, and I'm not crazy about all that. I'm from Ireland, so in Ireland the weather is kind of gloomy and
You're
I live.
used to the gloom and the
Yeah,
rain. Isn't it rainy
yeah.
in Ireland?
Rains all the time. Yeah, I mean it rains. Yeah, a lot in Ireland. Yeah, but that's okay. I don't mind that. I like it when it rains. I like it when it rains here in LA. It fucking almost never rains. So there you go.
Yeah, I know you guys have like wildfires
Well, yeah.
in
Well, yeah.
California.
We get all kinds of and peacocks and big spiders and all kinds of yeah. I don't know why. Why does anybody want to live here? I don't even know why I live here. I ask myself every day. I'm like, why am I living in LA? So I used to live in San Francisco. San Francisco's great. There's fog and rain and clouds, and it's
It makes
nice.
you feel like you're a little bit back at home.
Yeah, and you can put on a nice coat, and you can, listen to The Cure, non-ironically. It's like, yeah, it's I like that.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for joining us. For anyone who's listening who may not know you, could you introduce yourself and the role you play in the band?
I'm Reid from Third Eye Blind, and I play guitar, lead guitar,
Lead guitar.
just to differentiate myself from Steve. And we have an auxiliary guy, Colin. He's our producer. He plays kind of backup guitar a bit as well. So but I'm the noisy one at the front. There you
You're the noisy one in the front.
go. Yeah.
So you joined Third Eye Blind back in 2010, but you didn't realize how big they were. Did you even know who the band was?
No, I didn't. I actually realized years later. I realized that I did see Steven on MTV Cribs years before but I didn't even know the name of the band. Like, no, they're not big in Ireland. So, I mean, we're not big in Ireland, or they weren't big back then in Ireland. So, when I uh, first met Brad, he told me the name of the band, or it might have been our mate Soren who told me Brad's band's name. And so I thought it was Three Blind Mice. So I went back to Dublin and I was talking to my mates and I was like, yeah, the drummer, because I was playing in a band with Brad. And I was like, yeah, the drummer's really good. And he plays in some band called Three Blind Mice or something like that. So, yeah, that was it. But then, then eventually, when I found out the name of the band, and I told my mates I was going over to do this gig, and they're called Third Eye Blind. A couple of them kind of were like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of them." So there was that. But I just, yeah, for me, it was always Brad's band. When I met Steven, I didn't know who he was at all. Like so, like Brad had to lean in. I said, Brad said, "This is Steven," and I went, "All right, Steven." He's really fucking tall. And so I was like, "All right, Steven," and Brad leaned in and went, "That's the singer," to like just indicate. But yeah, it was uh, it was funny.
Yeah. How did you feel when you realized just how big the band was that you had just joined?
I thought Brad's band are kind of big because we did the first show we did was in Hawaii, and that was like one of those kind of resorty sort of shows. Just they wanted to do something with me off the grid a bit, just so they could kind of feel me out, and we couldn't. They wouldn't be too embarrassed if it was terrible. And then the next show we did was in Los Angeles. So it was at a university or something. And so everybody was singing along when we played like Jumper and Semi and stuff like that. Everybody knew all the words. And I was like, yeah, I was like, wow, Brad's band's really big. So
Yeah, you kind of answered my question because I actually was going to ask how your first show did go.
yeah, I mean, it was if you look at my Instagram, because Stephen just had a birthday as well. Stephen's birthday is the 27th of September. And so I posted something for his birthday. And I think, I'm pretty sure, but I think it's the first photograph that I have of him and I together. And so I put it up on Instagram, and it's it's really funny because like there are two other people in that band who aren't in the band anymore. And that picture was taken maybe 10 minutes before we went on stage. So I remember looking back at that picture when I found it and going like, God, I remember, I remember like Brad or Steven saying, because our bass player Abe, before we were going on stage, he said, I gotta take a piss, I'll be right back. And he kind of legged it to the bathroom, and Steven shouted after him, no nervous pissing, like that. Yeah, that was, I don't know, that just stuck in my head. And then we went on stage, and back then my pedal board was totally different, and I was using these other amplifiers that the band owned. And yeah, so I kind of thought it was a bit boxy. The sound wasn't my favorite or anything like that. But everybody started singing along, and that's where I was going. Fucking this band are kind of, Brad's band are kind of big, But I still didn't really have a big sense of it until we kind of started doing pre-production for tour, and we went into the pre-production facility. And when we walked in, it was like, by then it was March. I joined in February, and by then it was March 17th, and it was St. Patrick's Day. And so Stephen had gotten the production people to put like all this like, fucking tweedly da, whatever you want to call it, like Irish shit everywhere. So the whole venue, when we walked in initially, those pre-production facilities are like big aircraft hangars where you bring in all your staging and all your lighting and the entire crew, and they set up like it's a gig. And then the band, we fly in a few days after that, and we start rehearsing the set that we're going to do on a big tour or whatever like that. So you're basically in this big room doing all this stuff. And so when I walked into all that, I was going like, oh, this is fucking well big. And then the 17th came around, and when I walked in, it was all green. They had turned it into like all this like leprechaun shit, if you know what I mean. Everything, all my amplifiers, all had green leprechauns all over them, and little green hats and pots of gold and all kinds of shit. Yeah, it was fun.
Is St. Patrick's Day a little different in the States than it is back in Ireland?
I mean, we celebrate it in Ireland. It is like, a big festival, and like Dublin will have a parade, and Cork will have a parade, in Galway, and even like the little towns and Tipperary and places like that, they'll have like some sort of procession, and people all dress up, and you wear, in Ireland it's a little bit different because you wear shamrock on you when it's St. Patrick's Day. So when we were kids, my mum would pin like, she'd get like real shamrock, and she'd like tie a little thing on it, and she'd pin it onto, I don't know if you can see me, she'd pin it onto our shirt or whatever. And then we'd go out. So for the day, we'd wear real shamrock. By the end of the night, it'd be hanging down, be dead. But yeah, so we'd do that. And when we were kids, we'd go in like in Dublin and watch the parade, and, it's silly and just lots of goofy shit, and yeah, but in America, you guys go bananas. So it's like, you know what I mean? Because there are more Irish people of Irish descent in America than there are Irish people in Ireland. So it's funny. You guys go mad. Yeah, you go big, but it's America. What do you expect? Everybody goes big over there for everything.
It's true. It's true. We like to go big.
So I remember, New York does the big Green River, and Chicago does it really big as well. Chicago's got a crazy big load of Irish people there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a blast on St. Patrick's Day here, but it's usually people are like, where are we going drinking? Everybody, all my American mates text me happy birthday on St. Patrick's Day, happy birthday, So yeah.
So coming into Third Eye Blind in 2010, I'm curious, do you enjoy playing the music before you joined the band, or do you enjoy playing the music that you helped create once you joined the band?
Both, I think, because when I joined the band, because I didn't know really who they were, I kind of just Brad sent me a set list of like I can't maybe 30 songs or something like that, and he said learn these ones initially, and I just started learning them, but I didn't know the band were big, so I didn't know I could just go online and it'd be all these guys going, hey, check it out, here's how to play, narcolepsy or whatever. So I just kind of started working it all out by ear, and there's a lot of open tunings and stuff like that. And so people who write and record in open tunings often use harmonics. They can't help themselves. So that kind of gives you an indication. You go, that's not a natural harmonic on the guitar. So I kind of just started working through it all like that, and then at some point, somebody sent me a link to some guy on YouTube fucking playing, I can't remember what song it was. And I was going, fucking hell. So I went back at that point and to check myself kind of thing. And I was like, all right, I was probably 98% of the way there. I was quite chuffed with it. But again, a lot of it's in standard tuning and easy enough to work out. But some of the open tuning stuff, you have to check. Some of those fingers are really unusual, So so I still really enjoy all of that, but I haven't listened to those original recordings since like before I joined the band, really, I mean, even I remember we actually went back to Hawaii, and I remember like we had these little log cabins and everyone brought their girlfriends. And I think I was single at the time, so I didn't bring anyone with me. And so I was in this big cabin by myself, and I was like, I'm just going to learn the entire catalog now. And so I just went and sat down with all of the stuff. And Stephen was like texting me going, like, come to dinner. Like we're in this like compound, all in this kind of circle area like this. And he was like, come to dinner, I'm cooking dinner. And I was like, I wasn't responding because I didn't have my phone near me. And he ended up knocking on the door of my chalet. And like I opened the door and I had like headphones and my guitar. And Third Eye Blind was blaring in the background, And he was like, this is so beautiful, And I was like, I was just doing some work. What do we do? And then we went and had dinner. And so I just basically since then, and that's 2010, I haven't really listened to any of those original recordings. Occasionally they come up, but I haven't really listened to them. So I've kind of sort of, not to sound like a big-headed prick here or anything like that, but I've kind of sort of made adjustments or probably made the songs sound a little bit more like the way I play the guitar now. So I kind of feel the same way about like playing Graduate live. The crowd goes insane. I mean, you can't not love that, Even something as simple as Jumper. Everybody's reaction to that is kind of what makes it an enjoyable experience to play,
Yeah, and do you have a personal favorite Third Eye Blind song, let's say from the 90s era, and then one, let's say, after the 90s era?
Do I have a personal favorite?
Yeah.
No.
No?
No. I mean, do you mean like one that I like, a song that I like more than the others? No.
You like it all. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've become a big fan of Stephen and a big fan of the band since, becoming involved, because initially it was just kind of like overwhelming to learn a whole bunch of music, and then you're just going through the mechanics. But then when you start to play, and then you play as a band, we don't play like to backing tracks or any of that kind of shit. We don't use, a bunch of extra, magic on stage or anything like that. It's just us. So we get really locked in, really tight. Brad and Cav, our bass player, are just, there's such a tight rhythm section that, you can't, but as a guitar player, you just can't help but enjoy that experience. And so for me, it's always been about the nucleus of the group. And yeah, so I love playing all of it.
Yeah. So over the years after you joined, how involved have you been in the writing process?
Like as much or as little as you want, really, is kind of the way it is. If I have something that I think is they might like, or Stephen might like, or he might like to sing over, uh, I I play it for him, and if he likes it, he starts singing to it. And so oftentimes in sound checks, we'll just jam something, and then Stephen will come in and he'll either say "shut up" or he'll say, "what's that?" So yeah, so I mean, we've done a bunch of songs together over the years. It's probably different now that Colin is involved. Colin is a kind of he's like a writer producer that worked with Stephen for a while, and so now he's in the band. So he oftentimes kind of leads the herd in terms of like the songwriting and stuff like that. But we all get to throw our tuppence in there. So
Yeah, that's good. That's at least you get a little bit of your 2 cents in there.
yeah.
So when you joined the band, uh, did you guys have did you bring in any new musical influences that weren't there before?
Yeah, I think so. But we align on a lot of kind of our favorite guitar players and stuff like that. Me and Steven, anyway. So when I came in, he could reference certain things. He'd say like, try to make it a little bit, and he'd throw out a name, and I'd get that. I'd be like, yeah, I see what you mean. You know what I mean? I think when I came into the band, I was probably more. I feel like my tone, the way I played, was a little bit more aggressive, and then that was just so I was kind of just playing a lot. When I joined the band, I was kind of maybe overplaying and going and check it out, And I think working with Steven over the years, it's kind of he's beaten that out of me, or he's made me realize that that's like, you really do need to listen to the song, not just your own shit, play all over everything because yeah, it's no good. It all has to be in service of the song. So you have to kind of really sometimes take a step back. Sometimes it's just too exciting and you're too interested in it and involved and too close to it to be able to actually step back and go like, "Whoa, you're making a ball to this song," even though that's a cool guitar part. I remember we were doing demos for "We Don't Belong Here," which is a record that didn't end up being called that. But when we were recording some of this stuff, we did a song a certain way. I'm trying to remember what song it was. We did it a certain way, and then Brad was listening to it, and he was going like, "What about if you made it more?" I think he said more Hendrixy or something like that. And then I came in the next morning, and I put down like a totally different guitar line, and it was all all this ambidextrous Jimi Hendrix crazy triads and all this kind of shit. And I remember he came in and he was going like, "That's some of the best guitar playing I've ever heard." And you ruined the song entirely. And so I was going, that's exactly it in a nutshell. It's like, yeah, you can really get into that part and go like, God, that's wow, whoa, you know what I mean? But it's like there's no room sonically for the vocal to do anything or go anywhere. It was just all about this guitar part now, So that's why we do demos, You do demos to fuck them up and to root through it all and to get to to make it good, to make it great,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the Summer Gods tour has been happening for a few years now. How did this last year treat you guys?
I mean, without bragging or anything like that, it was the biggest and best. Yes, I mean they should all increase in bigger and betterness, right? But yeah, this year was really really big. The biggest venues the band has ever played in their entire career. That's what the OG guys told me. So yeah, it was incredible. We're playing these huge venues, and we had like we were really tight with the support bands, and we had like it was a big road party for the whole summer, and yeah, we really stretched out and got really loose, I think, as a band, and at one point, you know, because like the show starts to take on its own kind of ballet as you do it more and more, because it starts out with like we've got this set and then we go out, and sometimes at the beginning of a tour typically we'll play like fucking way too long, way too many songs, and people will all go online and go, best show ever. They played for 2.5 hours and they played everything they ever wanted to play, all these B-sides and deep cuts, and you know, they did this jam session, blah, blah, and all this shit. And we're coming off stage going, what are we doing? That was way too much, and the show didn't flow properly. So the next show will be like 8 songs less. We'll be like, just chop this down and make it into, you know, find a fucking rough jam in here. So we did that at the beginning of this tour as well. And then towards like the center of the tour or something, I remember Stephen we all kind of get into a wee huddle before we go on stage. And in the huddle, Stephen was like, let's see how loose we can get out there. Let's see just how loose we can get. And we just went out, and it was just like, yeah, kind of effortless and just really, really fun. And that was just the mandate for the rest of the tour, was to just go out, you know, just get loose. It's the only phrase I can think of for it. It's like, just get out there and just be as loose as you can be, you know? So
yeah. I had the pleasure of getting to see you guys at the Buffalo stop this past year. And you were, of course, out with Arizona and Yellow Card.
yeah.
Just kind of curious, you mentioned, you know, you were tight with those bands. How was it traveling with them?
Great, but you know, we don't all travel together. Everyone's in their own tour buses. But in terms of like the camaraderie on tour and everything like that, it was great. I mean, we all got to hang out with the other bands and get to know each other, and you know, we're still in touch now. And I think Yellow Card are in town. Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but yeah, we're all stayed in touch, and we're all I mean, I just heard Arizona are like breaking up, or they're like going on a hiatus or something. And so I just heard, and I was just talking to Cav and Colin about it. And I was just going, wait, Arizona just did like we just discovered this band. We took them out on tour. We all thought they were amazing. And now what? They're going to break up. And it turns out they're not breaking up, but they're going on they're taking a break for a bit. I don't know to do what. But yeah, I can ask them. We all still know each other. So yeah, it was great. It was a great tour, and everybody was tight. Everybody was close. But it's usually like that with us. We usually have that kind of vibe, because it's all about creating a vibe on the tour, that it's like everybody gets to know everybody, and you know, we watch them on stage every night and they watch us. And, you know, we had like Ryan from Yellow Card come out. It was like his hometown show, I think, in Florida somewhere. And we had him come out and sing. What the fuck did he sing? We played some song that was like one of his all-time favorite Third Eye Blind songs. I think it was The Background. Sorry, I'm spazzing out there for a second, but I think it was The Background. And we did it acoustically. We did like an acoustic section in the middle of these shows in the last couple of tours, and that's because of the acoustic record that we put out. And they've been great. And so we would just jam on those. And it was like, let's bring Ryan out. So he came out and did it for a couple of nights. And then we had the violin guy too. He came out too.
Sean. His name's Sean.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was just gonna go like, I'm gonna say his name as well. Yeah, Sean came out and played, and he's a fucking rock star. I never thought that I'd see a violin player, you know, rock an audience like that guy does. It's really nuts. Like, you know, from side stage watching him at the shows, he's throwing his violin, his bow in the air and catching it, and he's like pointing to stuff and standing up with, you know. It's crazy. He's absolute rock star, this guy.
Yeah.
And
so I gotta know, did you guys have any shenanigans on tour between all the bands? Any little pranks you pulled on each other?
No, actually there was, but towards the end of the tour, the Yellow Card guys gave us these really cool denim jackets. They brought them in. They were like, "Hey, we just want to talk to you, city guys. Like, thanks for taking us out." And, it meant a lot to us, and big fans of the band and all that stuff like that. And they gave us these like tour jackets that had like on the back of it they had like a reinterpretation of the artwork that like our artwork for the tour. So it was like their version of it with like yellow card and their little and stuff on it. And then on the inside it was like an embroidered kind of handwritten inscription just saying like what thanks, and it was really really sweet. And then we all came off tour. When I came off tour, so all my stuff got shipped back to LA, and then the next day, like this is like 2 or 3 days after tour, the next day I flew out to Japan, and so I was gone for like a month, and then I came back and I started going through all my shit from tour because it was all these boxes of stuff, and I came across it because I'd totally forgotten about it, and I was like, God, that's really cool. It's really nuts. And then Colin we went out to a thing the other night, and Colin showed up wearing it, and I was going, God, I'm glad I didn't wear it now because we looked like tossers, the two of us walking around in the same jacket. But they're really nice, and it was a really, really sweet gesture, I mean, they gave us these bags that looked like, a thing, and I was going like, oh, God, what is this going to be, soap or like gemstones or some, people give you these things sometimes. And so I was kind of half dreading opening the thing, and then I opened it and I was going like, wait a minute, this is like really incredible. So yeah, so that's indicative of the kind of the spirit of the tour. It wasn't like tour pranks. I remember when we played with Hockey Dad, when they supported us on tour a few years ago, we invited them out to do a cover version of one of their songs. So we did like a cover version. We learned the song, and then we got them to come out and sing on it. And we did that. And then some of our crew went on stage while they were doing a song, and they're from Australia, the Hockey Dad guys. And our crew dressed up as kangaroos, I think it was, like in big, massive kangaroos. And they just went out and like danced around the stage. And the guys were like trying to get through the song. So, over the years, there's been silly things like that have happened. But with the Yellow Card Arizona tour, it was more kind of like the spirit of companionship. And it wasn't kind of so kind of frat boy. Not that the Hockey Dad thing was like that, but if you know what I mean, it's just,
yeah,
it was
a little more chill.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious because you mentioned at the beginning of the tour, and then as you work your way through the first couple sets and everything, that you kind of chop it up or maybe rearrange songs. I'm curious, is it ever pre-decided what songs are a planned encore?
No.
No?
No, I'm trying to think if you can see it. There's like, if I move this way a bit. This is my studio out here. I had this roll of sketching paper that I use here, and yeah, I'm not going to show you what's on it because it's the next set that we're working at the moment. But we typically start like this, where we have like a big list of songs, and when we get together and start to jam it, we'll kind of go, this doesn't go in, it doesn't feel right to do this after this, whatever like that. So the encore section is often kind of left to sort of be like, we'll do either one of these ones, and then occasionally we'll like play something entirely different for the encore, where it was like we were going to do it in the main set and we didn't, and then we were like, oh, I think we should really do this. So like we'll add something that's like, something from Out of the Vein or something like that, that's like, like not so encore-ish. You know what I mean? Like not typically something that we would do in an encore. So, but as soon as we go off stage, we have a wee chat and just talk about what we think would be the right way to end this show tonight, and then we'll tell like one of our techs on that side of the stage, and he'll tell my tech Joseph on the other side of the stage, because there are lots of different guitar tunings, so Joseph has to know first. And yeah, occasionally it'll be like, oh, we should play blah blah blah, and I'll be like, we don't have a guitar tuned for that right now. So we give Joseph a heads up. So sometimes we'll add an extra song before that one, and that's there just so that Joseph has time to fucking intonate and tune a guitar and do a different tuning. So no, it's not decided. For the most part, there are maybe a few that we'll kind of fall on and go like, well, we're going to give them that. But we'll oftentimes just because there's no, like I said, there's no programming or anything like that to it. We just once we have a guitar tuned for it, we can go out and play the song.
Yeah. So I think I heard that you guys are working on a collaboration. Is there anything you could tell fans about that? Or is it still hush hush?
I would say, who told you that?
I heard it on another interview you did.
An interview that I did or Steven?
You did.
I did. How recently was that interview?
I think it was during your Summer Gods tour.
Gosh.
I do my research, so.
Okay, yeah. It's still hush hush.
Still hush hush.
I mean, as far as I know, it is. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you don't know, and
if I don't know,
yeah, Stephen hasn't put it out there yet, then I'm not going to be the one to fuck it all up and say like, oh, you know. But he called me about it probably like 3 days ago. We were just talking about it, and he wanted to go over it a little bit. So I was just working at some kind of what we call campfire chords for a way that he can just sit down and live with the song for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah.
So we'll just leave it at that. It's hush hush, but there is something coming for fans to look forward to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. There's a few things coming actually. There's another thing that's I think is really, really exciting that when people find out. Yeah. So, and the other thing's very exciting as well. But there are a few things coming up. We're always working. We're always working over here, Jess.
I can tell. You got that big board next to you, so you're always working.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working right now. The rest of the guys are at home doing nothing.
Yeah, how dare them? How dare them not be working right now? Now we have one question that's super important that we always ask everyone. You'll either have a good answer or you won't have an answer at all. What is your favorite dinosaur?
My favorite dinosaur. Probably the pterodactyl, just because they look kind of nifty and they fly. Well, most people probably say that fucking thing that kills everybody in Jurassic Park, the original one. I know the kid actually from Jurassic Park, the guy who played the kid. He's a mate of mine now. You're in the original Jurassic Park. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit of a silly story if you want to hear it, but it was my birthday. I was living in San Francisco. It was my birthday, and me and my wife decided to pop into our favorite local on our way home to have we went for dinner for the birthday. And this was before we had, a child or anything like that. So we're like, let's pop in for one on the way home. We popped in, hanging out with the staff. And, there was a few people there, and it was a very chill night. And then a boatload of people just fucking walked in. And the bartender, my mate Arnaud, just leans over to me. He's from France, and he goes, I can't believe it. It's Rami Malek. Rami Malek, the guy, And I was like, oh, yeah, he's a pretty good actor, yeah. And I was like, he was like, oh, I love him so much. I'm embarrassed, though. I cannot speak to him. Oh, but I'd love to get a photo with him, And I was like, well, just tell him I'm here and I want to buy him a drink. And so he goes, oh, great. Okay, great idea. And he walks over and he goes, Rami, Kryz Third Eye Blind is here and he wants to buy a drink. And Rami goes, where? And he comes over to me and he's like, I fucking love Third Eye Blind, dude. What's going on? So we end up drinking together. And it turns out that he's there with the entire cast of the Queen movie, and they're doing press junkets in San Francisco. So he introduces me to the rest of the band, the guys who are playing, the band members. But he thought it'd be really funny to introduce them to me as the names of the guys in Queen rather than the actual name of the fucking actor. So the first one he did was Joe, who played the bass player. And I still don't even know the name of the bass player from Queen. Like, who knows the name of the bass player from Queen except other bass players? But whatever the bass player's name in Queen, that's what he introduced me to him as. And so I thought that was his fucking name. And the whole night I was going, it was great chatting to you, Mick or Jim or whatever your name is, you know, like that. And after we went home, he texted me and said, or he followed me on Instagram and he said, it's Joe. I was like, so yeah, but he's a mate now, and he comes, yeah, he comes to see us and stuff, and it's cool. But so I don't know. I'll ask him what his favorite dinosaur is, and then I'll get back to you. But it's probably not the one that kills everything. That can't be much fun. But the one that flies, and they all kill stuff, don't they? They're all
pretty much for the most part. Maybe not the herbivores.
Yeah, but they're just food for the ones that do kill. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. What? So why? Why do you ask people that?
I don't know. We asked it once in an interview with someone else, and they got real excited about it because they were really into dinosaurs. And so we were like, they're like, yeah, we need to normalize people and talking about dinosaurs for some reason. And we're like, let's just ask it. It's been fun getting some of the answers we've gotten, though.
Right. Well, I mean, some people can probably pull out some really phenomenal names. You know, I'm a big Futurama fan, but I don't think I've ever memorized any of the names of the crazy dinosaurs that they come up with in that show. But even my kid doesn't give a shit about dinosaurs, and he's 3. You know, he's supposed to be like, whoa, and he's like, you know, you show him a dinosaur, and he's like, you know, he's trying to see if there's a train behind it. He's obsessed with trains.
Oh, he's in the train stage. Maybe that's the next stage, is the dinosaur stage.
I don't know. He doesn't seem to be fussed about anything that's not mechanical, which is interesting. Yeah.
You can take him to one of those dinosaur exhibits that have mechanical dinosaurs, and maybe he'd be into it.
Yeah, maybe that might marry the two things together there for him. Yeah. But so far, nothing. Bring him to the aquarium, give a shit, you know. So yeah. But
there is a kid show called Dinosaur Train if you really want to marry them together.
What, and how does it, is it a train that brings the dinosaurs to?
Yeah, it just carts the dinosaurs around. My kid used to watch it a long time ago. I never really paid much attention.
Oh, we recently discovered a show called Chuggington, it's like that show Kyrz. He loves Kyrz as well, that the Pixar movie thing. But yeah, we came across Chuggington, and he can sing the theme song to it and all the rest of it now. It's basically trains, but it looks like cars, but they're trains. They all talk. It's ridiculous, but yeah. Anyway, yeah. We're getting sidetracked here talking about.
That's okay. That's okay. Now, if you do talk to Joe, I would love to know what his dinosaur is.
I'll ask him, but I remember he sent me a picture, or I might have just seen it on his Instagram, where it was like he was like kind of sulking like this, and behind it said something like dinosaur exhibit or something, and he just put like hashtag triggered, you know. So maybe he's not. I don't know.
Maybe he doesn't like the dinosaurs because he had scary dreams after doing that movie. I don't know.
Maybe he did. I don't know how old he was when he did that, but I'd be probably shitting myself after seeing that thing coming at you. But I know. I mean, maybe he didn't hold on to his fear because he didn't. He told me he didn't hold on to his bass playing skills. Like he had to play bass in Queen for the movie, and so I was joking. He came out to see us in New Jersey, and I was like, "Hey, we're gonna do like, you know, Under Pressure. You want to come up and play bass on it for us, you know?" And he was like, "No, what?" You know. But yeah, he hasn't remembered how to play any bass parts. I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, the dinosaur question was our last question. Is there anything else you'd like to share or mention before you go?
Oh, there's 3 big things coming up. There's another big thing coming up I completely forgot about, which I can't even mention either. But we're going to start rehearsing for it next week. So that's it. And I think we're playing a big festival in Phoenix, Arizona, in a few weeks. So we have basically like a month off now. We're just all hanging out, and we're going to get back to work next week in LA here. We're going to do a little bit of rehearsing and work out the thing that we're doing. and then we're going to go to Phoenix.
Yeah. Some of the big things isn't Warped Tour, is it?
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you.
You couldn't tell us, Kryz.
I mean, I can tell you it's not that, actually.
It's not that.
I don't, yeah, fucking hell no. We did Bamboozle once when was Bamboozle? 2010 maybe, or 2011.
That was a
And
long time ago.
it was a long time ago, but it was kind of, it was a funny one.
Well, that's all we have for you. Thanks so much for
Awesome.
coming on. It's been a
Absolutely.
pleasure.
Cheers. I'm glad
That's
the
been great.
technology worked out, and I'm amazed Zoom is even on my iPad when I pressed the link that the app opened. So there you
Well,
go.
at least you didn't have to do like an update.
Oh yeah, but what was it? Me like with no audio, going like pointing at the screen for like 30 seconds at the beginning?
In the beginning, no, we could hear you. You
Oh
just couldn't
shit.
hear us.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh yeah, because it connected to the fucking Bluetooth speakers. Yeah, that's why. The headphones, and they're in the house. They're not in the studio here. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there you go. Typical.
Well,
Anyway,
thanks again for coming on. We had a blast
sorry.
chatting with you.
Yeah.
And
Cheers.
take care.
Yeah. Thanks
Have
very
a
much.
good night.
All right. You too. Now
Bye.
I'll work out how to leave this fucking thing now. Okay. Here we go. All right. Take care. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.